During the Dirty War between 1976 till 1983, the Argentinian government was heavily censoring anyone who they claimed were dissidents. They abducted, tortured, and murdered their political opponents. There were an estimated of 30,000 people who disappeared during this period. Many of them were young people, students, and other youth who were unsatisfied with the regime. The Madres of the Plaza de Mayo was an association created to protest this and to create awareness. The association was made up of Argentinian mothers who had their children become one of the disappeared. They wanted to hold the state accountable for this wrongdoing. The mothers brought awareness to the evils of the military dictatorship that Argentina was under. They bravely showed that the Argentinians would not be quiet about this act of state terrorism and demanded for them to be held accountable for it. The military government censored any talk of what they had done. Yet, these mothers began to meet each Thursday in the Plaza de Mayo and would share their experiences. There, they walked in nonviolent demonstrations and chanted together. It was the first time that anyone in public had spoken out against the brutality of the government. Their numbers grew as international human rights groups arrived to help them. They helped them open up their own office, to publish their own newspaper, and to learn how to make speeches. The police continued to harass them, but it became more difficult for the government to ignore them.
Now, to show some examples of what the Madres of the Plaza de Mayo did, they organized while trying to learn what had happened to their children and began to march in 1977 at the Plaza de Mayo in Buenos Aires, in front of the Casa Rosada, presidential palace, in public defiance of the government's state terrorism intended to silence all opposition. Wearing white headscarves to symbolize the diapers of their lost children, the mothers marched in solidarity to protest the atrocities committed by the military regime. They held the government accountable for the human rights violations they committed during their time in power. Where they do it, and to describe the places impacted by their work. On April 30, 1977, Azucena Villaflor de Vicente and a dozen other mothers went to the Plaza de Mayo in Argentina's capital city. The women shared the experience of each having had at least one child who had been taken by the military government. The mothers declared that between 1970 and 1980, more than 30,000 individuals became one of the desaparecidos, or the disappeared. These people were erased from public record with no government traces of arrest or charges against them. The women decided to protest and marched just across the street from the presidential office building, La Casa Rosada, the Pink House. The mothers chose this site for its high visibility, hoping to gain information on and recover their children. While they held weekly marches, the mothers also began an international campaign to defy the propaganda distributed by the military regime. This campaign brought the attention of the world to Argentina. Why their ideas are relevant or connected at global scale. Because the problem that they were trying to solve and the ideas that they had established were due to the sufferings of the world at that time. Many families lost their children to war or lost contact with them, and the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo gave hope to those people that if they try hard enough, they might find the family members that they had lost. To give a brief summary about the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo, since 1977, a group of politically active mothers have staged a weekly protest in the famous Plaza de Mayo, urging the government to release information about their missing children and to take responsibility for the disappearances. Now, for some questions. Question number 1: where do the mothers of the Plaza de Mayo meet? Question number 2: why did they start their movement? Question number 3: do you agree with what they are advocating?
Question number 4. Did they make a difference in Argentina? Question number 5. How many became desaparecidos?